Training Services section has developed this video to assist you in learning the basic hose lay evolutions. As a recruit firefighter, your performance of these tasks will be evaluated and graded. Assignment of duties under each hose lay is made for the purpose of showing the separate techniques and establishing responsibility for handling various equipment. This does not, however, limit a firefighter to only their assigned duties. A firefighter may temporarily assist another firefighter who is having difficulty in completing their operation. For recruit training, this will not be the case. You shall only perform your assigned tasks. While watching the video, please note that the pace the firefighters are using to complete their tasks would need to be increased during recruit training and, of course, field operations.
This video is an instructional guide in the basic hose lay evolutions of the County of Los Angeles Fire Department. These evolutions have 4 positions: captain, engineer, nozzle, and hydrant position. This is a straight lay with 2 1 3/4 inch manifold lines, fire on the right. With the apparatus spotted at the hydrant, the captain gives the command, straight lay. A straight lay is where the apparatus lays a supply line from the water source to the fire. The firefighter sitting behind the engineer is known as the hydrant position. It's the hydrant's position's job to connect the supply line to the hydrant. This task is known as making the hydrant. As the apparatus lays the line to the fire, the captain has ordered 2 1 3/4 inch manifold lines, fire on the right. The captain is always seated on the right front side of the apparatus. The nozzle position, who sits behind the captain, unloads the 1 3/4 inch manifold line on the fire side. The engineer will unload the hose clamp and place it on the supply line. Whenever removing equipment from the apparatus, always close the compartment door. After installing the hose clamp, the engineer will return to the apparatus to complete his task. The captain dons his breathing apparatus. The donning of the breathing apparatus is mandatory. For recruit training, the captain will unload the second 1 3/4 inch manifold line and lead it into the fire. The engineer will be responsible for connecting the supply line to the apparatus. In order to do this, he will attach a special fitting to the pump suction intake. During normal firefighting operations, water carried on the apparatus will be used to supply our hose line. For recruit training, water from the hydrant will be your source. The engineer must complete the task by unloading adequate hose, breaking the coupling, and connecting the hose to the pump suction intake via the keystone valve. After receiving the signal from the nozzle position, the engineer will open the required discharge gate. The engineer will signal the hydrant position to release the hose clamp. The hydrant position will remove any kinks in the supply line. All signals must be given in a loud, clear manner. Recruit training requires that each individual perform only the duties of the position assigned to them. No other policy is acceptable. This is a straight lay with 2 1 3/4 inch manifold lines. In the second portion of this video, we will follow each position step by step. The techniques demonstrated are standard procedures and designed for your safety. With the apparatus positioned at the hydrant, as the captain, you will give the command straight lay. After the apparatus has laid line to the fire, you will give the next command 2 1 3/4 inch manifold lines, fire on the right. Before leading in any hose line, you must always don a breathing apparatus. The captain's next task is to unload the second 1 3/4 inch manifold line. Remove the straps and place them on the apparatus. Check the nozzle, saying loudly, "Nozzle shut." With the nozzle locked in, place your arm down through the manifold and rack the hose 90 degrees. With your free hand, hold the layers in place. Pull the hose out until it hits the ground. Before you move any further, drop the top loop of the outside layer. As you lead in, always take off one layer at a time. Dropping the hose all at once may cause severe kinks. Lead your line in until it is fully extended. Turn back towards the apparatus until you have at least 25 feet of hose behind you. Set the nozzle on the ground and call for water. The fireground scene will be noisy and confusing. Call for water until the engineer acknowledges your signal. As the engineer, you spot the apparatus with the aid of the firefighter who is sitting on the hydrant side. The firefighter will use the cadence of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. After receiving the signal from the hydrant position, visually check to make sure all firefighters are seated. Before leaving the cab, make sure that the brake has been properly set. Next, unload the hose clamp and place it on the supply line. Install the hose clamp on the water source side of the coupling, jaws towards the fire. Standing on the jaws side of the clamp, turn the handle until it's tight. As the engineer, you are responsible for providing water to the apparatus. To do this, remove the cap and install a special fitting on the pump suction intake. When unloading adequate hose, grasp the hose between the thumb and forefinger. Face the direction of travel and pull the hose until the coupling hits the ground. Throw the excess hose towards the pump panel side of the apparatus. Break the coupling and return the female coupling to bed. Never leave any hose on the ground. If you receive a call for water in the middle of a task, complete the task before opening the required discharge gate. The nozzle position has called for water. Acknowledge his request and open the required discharge gate. Call the hydrant position for water, then acknowledge the signal. The captain has called for water. Acknowledge the request and open the required discharge gate. When the hydrant position has completed the required tasks, the hydrant position will report to the engineer for any instructions left by the captain. Relay these instructions and release the hydrant position to the captain. As the hydrant position, you will be seated behind the engineer. In this example, you will assist the engineer in spotting the apparatus by using the cadence count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Using predetermined landmarks, place the apparatus so that the tailboard is even with the hydrant. Facing the direction of travel, the hydrant position proceeds around the hydrant and holds the hydro assist valve even with the rear axle. Anchor the line in a secure manner. Signal in a loud, clear voice for the engineer to go. Next, place the four-way on the ground and clear the street. This will allow a second apparatus to connect to the hydrant if needed. With the four-way in hand, proceed around the hydrant and place it on the ground. Remove the spanner wrench and loosen the cap. Place the spanner wrench on the stem. Remove the hydrant cap and place it at the base of the hydrant. Install the four-way. After installing the four-way, check the handle to make sure it's properly positioned. Remove the excess hose around the hydrant and charge the line. Using the hand-over-hand technique, turn the spanner wrench until the hydrant is completely open. A partially open hydrant will reduce the available water supply and possibly compromise firefighter safety. As the hydrant position, you will be responsible for removing any kinks in the supply line. After the engineer has connected the supply line to the apparatus, the engineer will signal the hydrant position for water. Acknowledge the signal. While standing on the jaw side of the clamp, remove the clamp using the hand-over-hand technique. This may seem like a slow operation, but the clamp must be fully relieved of pressure before removal. Any clamp opened under pressure is an unsafe act. Report to the engineer, who will relay any instructions left by the captain.
Starting the second quarter, Green Bay with a second down and 3. Play action, Rodgers rolls and zips one down. Handsome Zuzi run. Exactly like the throw to Jordy Nelson just a moment ago.
After being released, check the captain's line for loose couplings and any kinks.
Finley on the linebacker. That ball is catchable. If you're an all-pro tight end, you should catch that football. Really good effort by Briggs underneath, undercutting it, but Aaron Rodgers, you can't throw it any better. Finley actually tried to pin it against his helmet when he
As the nozzle position, you in the hydrant position will don breathing apparatus before the evolution begins. The nozzle position will be responsible for leading in the first manifold line located on the fire side. First, remove the straps and place them on the apparatus. Then check the nozzle, saying loudly, "Nozzle shut." Using proper techniques, unload the manifold line. Pull the hose until it hits the ground. Before moving any further, toss the top loop of the outside layer. When leading in the hose line, flake it off, one layer at a time. Remember, dumping the hose on the ground could result in kinks and possibly compromise your safety. The fireground scene will be noisy and confusing. Call for water until the engineer acknowledges your signal. For safety reasons, do not operate the nozzle until you have received proper training.